Have you ever wondered what really happened to Eden after the fall? Did it disappear? Was it destroyed? Or is it still out there? Hidden, guarded, waiting for redemption. In the beginning, the Garden of Eden was paradise, perfect, pure, untouched by death. It was the place where God walked with man, where the air carried peace and every leaf glowed with divine life. But that paradise didn't last forever. Something happened. Something that changed not only Adam and Eve, but the entire creation. The lights of incandescent paradise flickered in golden hues over the treetops in Eden. Each leaf was like an extension of the divine light that bathed the garden, emanating a brilliant reverence for the presence of God. I remember every serene breath that filled the air, every gentle murmur of the streams that glided beneath the leafy trees. In that age untouched by the shadow of death, heavenly glory rested upon every inch of that sacred corner. Eden was not merely a garden, it was God's own earthly domain. It was there that He chose to dwell with me, His beloved creation. It was there that I found Him at dusk, when His soft voice echoed through the trees and His footsteps resounded like a song of peace in the pure air. This transcendent communion between man and Creator transformed every moment into a divine dance, where creation joined eternity in indescribable harmony. As my gaze wandered across the untouched landscapes of Eden, I marveled at the exuberance of life in its purest state. Every element of nature seemed to sing in perfect harmony, as if the universe itself was singing silent praise to the Creator. The crystal-clear waters of the rivers meandered gracefully and abundantly through the leafy trees, carrying vitality wherever they went. The brightness of the sun reflecting off the green leaves turned each ray of light into a luminous blessing over the fertile soil. The sweet scent of the flowers, permeated by the gentle breeze that caressed my skin, was like a fragrant symphony that filled my senses with gratitude and delight. In that natural paradise, where death was just an unknown word and corruption had no place to take hold, I could feel the essence of creation in its original purity, as if every detail around me was a faithful reflection of the divine purpose for all life on earth. In the heart of Eden, there were two majestic treasures that captured my gaze and my soul, with each visit the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life stood imposingly, with its sinuous branches that seemed to extend towards the heavens like a bridge between the finite and the infinite. In its shining leaves, I glimpsed the eternal promise of uninterrupted communion with the Creator, an inexhaustible source of life and light that flowed in every gentle breeze that caressed my cheeks. Before her, I felt enveloped by an indescribable peace, as if each leaf trembled in harmony with the divine plans for existence. The tree of knowledge of good and evil emanated a mysterious and intriguing aura. Its intricate branches seemed to whisper ancient secrets that aroused my curiosity and fear. Its fruits bore a tempting shine, a seductive call to explore the boundaries between blind obedience and the search for understanding. The duality represented by these two trees echoed through my being, constantly reminding me of the primordial choice that shaped not only my destiny, but that of all humanity. As I walked through the green corridors of Eden, each breath was a hymn to the life that pulses in every corner of this earthly paradise. Each leaf beneath my hands seemed to vibrate in communion with the essence of creation, a tangible reflection of the divine order that permeated that sacred garden. The sight of the tree of knowledge of good and evil awakened in me a silent restlessness, a curiosity that mixed with a reverential fear of the mysteries contained within its shining leaves. It was there, in front of that border outlined on the horizon of my choices, that I understood the reality that even in the perfect Eden, there were limits. That tree was more than a simple test of obedience. It was the portal to the unknown, a crossroads where free will confronted divine will. The majestic presence of the tree of life at his side only intensified the duality of my impending decisions: accept eternity in communion with the Creator, or succumb to the temptation of exploring the hidden reaches of forbidden wisdom. As I walked along the lush green paths of Eden, I felt the coolness of the breeze caress my skin like a divine whisper. Every step I took echoed across the pristine landscape that stretched before me, a silent symphony of reverence for the majesty of creation. As I gazed at the wonders that surrounded me, the serenity of the garden touched my heart with a sense of sacred purpose. I knew in the depths of my soul that I was not just a mere inhabitant of this paradise. He was the guardian appointed by God to watch over every creature and every leaf that shone under the celestial light. My responsibility was not limited to caring for plants and animals. It was a daily sanctification, an opportunity to reflect the Creator's holiness in each interaction with His masterpiece. When my hands touched the fertile earth of Eden, I felt connected to the pulsating, vital essence of nature, an unbreakable link between the divine and the earthly. The simple act of working and guarding the garden acquired a transcendent meaning. It was not just a mundane task, but rather a sacred service rendered to the Almighty in His earthly sanctuary. Just as Adam was called to name the animals and exercise authority over creation, I understood that my mission went beyond mere administration. It was a call to imitate Heavenly Father's unconditional love for all life around me. As I walked through the lush gardens of Eden, I felt the serene presence of God in every corner of that earthly paradise. Every ray of sunlight that filtered through the leafy trees was a reminder of His unconditional love and sovereignty over all creation. It was on a peaceful afternoon, while I was enjoying the harmony of nature around me, that a strange presence broke the stillness of the garden. The serpent, whose eyes sparkled with an ancient sagacity, approached me with a subtle smile on his lips. His voice, soft as a breath of temptation, whispered doubts about God's goodness in my ear, sowing in my mind like poisonous seeds of mistrust. His words spun webs of deception around me, obscuring the clarity of truth with illusory promises of forbidden knowledge and unimaginable power. Caught up in the seductive web of deception, I allowed its insinuations to undermine the foundations of my faith and plant the seed of discord in the fertile soil of my heart. It was there, in the shadow of the two towering trees, that an irrevocable choice would change the course not only of my personal history, but of humanity forever and ever. As I stood before the tree of knowledge, its imposing presence seemed to echo within me like a dark invitation to uncover forbidden mysteries. Under the golden sunlight that filtered through the leaves, the serpent's soft and insidious voice entangled my thoughts in a web of doubts and temptations. Each whispered word carried with it a promise of forbidden wisdom, a hidden knowledge that awakened deep longings in my heart. Faced with the shining temptation, my mind oscillated between obedience to the divine voice that had echoed since the beginning of time and the seduction of the unknown offered by the cunning reptilian being. It was in that fleeting moment, between the hypnotic glow of the forbidden fruits and the growing shadow of distrust that sowed discord, that primeval innocence crumbled before the first lie, that threatening whisper that God was depriving me of something good. As I stood before the tree of knowledge, its imposing presence seemed to echo within me, like a dark invitation to uncover forbidden mysteries. Under the golden sunlight that filtered through the leaves, the serpent's soft and insidious voice entangled my thoughts in a web of doubts and temptations. Each whispered word carried with it a promise of forbidden wisdom, a hidden knowledge that awakened deep longings in my heart. Faced with the shining temptation, my mind oscillated between obedience to the divine voice that had echoed since the beginning of time and the seduction of the unknown offered by the cunning, reptilian being. It was in that fleeting moment, between the hypnotic glow of the forbidden fruits and the growing shadow of distrust that sowed discord, that primeval innocence crumbled before the first lie, that threatening whisper that God was depriving me of something good. Hearing the words echoing in Eden, "For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return," my heart froze. It was as if time itself had stopped at that moment of profound revelation. I clearly saw the reverberation of the divine sentence in every atom of my being, as if the words spoken by the Creator were reverberating through me, touching the essence of my existence. The reality of death was not just a distant destination. It was now an intrinsic part of my earthly journey. The weight of the sentence hung on my shoulders, like a burden that I would have to carry until my last breath. Every beat of my heart echoed with the grim reminder of the mortality that now awaited me. The idyllic Eden had become a scenario of transience and finitude, where the inevitable promise of returning to dust hung in the air as a constant reminder of the fall and its consequences. As I stood before the tree of knowledge, its imposing presence seemed to echo within me like a dark invitation to uncover forbidden mysteries. Under the golden sunlight that filtered through the leaves, the serpent's soft and insidious voice entangled my thoughts in a web of doubts and temptations. Each whispered word carried with it a promise of forbidden wisdom, a hidden knowledge that awakened deep longings in my heart. Faced with a shining temptation, my mind oscillated between obedience to the divine voice that had echoed since the beginning of time and the seduction of the unknown offered by the cunning reptilian being. It was in that fleeting moment, between the hypnotic glow of the forbidden fruits and the growing shadow of distrust that sowed discord. That primeval innocence crumbled before the first lie, that threatening whisper that God was depriving me of something good. Tempted by the insatiable desire to know what lay beyond the boundary established by divine will, I cautiously approached the forbidden fruit, its vivid colors and intoxicating aroma awakening my dormant curiosity. The weight of the impending decision hung over me like a silent shadow of guilt about to fall on my shoulders. The serpent's inquisitive gaze, hissing seductive words caused an internal storm, where the conflict between sacred duty and profane desire waged a titanic battle for my loyalty. In an eternal instant, I surged forward and reached my unsteady hand toward the shining fruit that promised unspeakable revelations and power beyond all human comprehension. And now, join me on this journey through scriptures to uncover more mysteries about Eden, as we reflect on its impact on humanity and our world today. Eden was sealed. The gates are closed. The presence of God withdrawn. From that day, man was in exile. Remembering this ancient tale reminds us of our origins and our need for redemption.